some
Sweet.
people. All right, it's technically live, so don't say anything that'll incriminate you. It's recording.
Uh-oh.
I was laughing because you're like talking about not looking like a slob, and then I'm like, I was so cold today. I've just been in like sweatshirts and sweatpants, and
Yeah, I live in sweat everything. Sweatpants, shorts, whatever this is. Like, yeah, just like if it's sweat material, I'm in it because
it's comfortable.
it's just how I live. Yeah.
Yeah, I went out the other night, and this guy had they were Izod, it's like the little alligator thing, and they were short, like sweatpants shorts, and they were Izod. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I gotta get me some of those.
People are like leveling up their sweats game with this like work from home and like remote
It's
transition.
true.
Yeah.
My friend has she owns a scrub store too, and like scrubs are basically yoga pants now too.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they have it all going on.
Those are so legit. Yeah. I would just like if you date like a nurse or anything, you just like steal them. You're like, these are mine.
Oh yeah.
They're like now all mine.
But that's what, especially with my friend, I'm like, yeah, I'll just gonna get I have so many scrubs, and I'm not even in the medical industry, but whatever. They're comfortable.
Whatever, soft.
All right, we got a couple people in here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Heidi Briones. I live in Portland, Oregon with my wife and 3 cats. I ran for office in 2020 as a Democrat. You know, I'm currently politically homeless, independent, libertarian-ish, and yeah, just into Web3, very into crypto and yeah, NFTs, Ethereum, all of that fun stuff, metaverse, and looking to really just figure out what the hell is going on in this crazy fucking planet and how I can help.
What office did you run for when you ran for something?
It was the U.S. House of Representatives in
For
Oregon's
the state
first
of Oregon?
district.
Okay.
Well, yeah, federal though.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that? How did that go?
It was really exciting at the time, I guess, but it was also kind of a nightmare. I mean, it was only 3 months that I ran actually. Felt like much longer, but it was really just, late February, I guess, to May. Yeah. Mid-February to May.
So like during the shutdown and all that?
Right when it started. Like I decided to run before like we really fully knew what was going on. I think it was like February 12th or something. And there was like, oh yeah, coronavirus, whatever. And COVID. And I was just like, whatever. Like it's going to be like the swine flu or like the bird flu, or it's like, no idea it was going to be full blown. And decided to run for office. Probably would not have if I knew that we would be locked down. Makes it pretty difficult to campaign. So I had to get pretty scrappy with Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all the things I was using at the time to reach people. We did like text banking, phone banking, anything that we could do that didn't involve going to people's doors because everybody was freaked during that point. And did pretty well. I mean, there were 4 people running. The incumbent is just like a beast, and she got, I don't even know, 80% of the vote or something. But I came in right after her, and at least I beat the other suckers, So it wasn't too bad. And then after that, like very shortly after, I started just realizing like what I was sucked into with the Democratic Party and being deep into it. And yeah, it was just basically like leaving a cult is what eventually happened. It was just kind of pushed out pretty aggressively, and just for having a dissenting opinion, basically for like not liking Joe Biden was essentially how it went down, and not voting for him and telling everybody like I'm not voting for him, like I don't care. And yeah, just really aggressively pushed out by everybody I knew in the political world, pretty much almost. And so I had to kind of rebuild some semblance of my identity and what I believed and what I thought. And yeah, still kind of working on that, but it was quite the experience leaving the cult.
Were you pretty politically active like within the party up like for a while?
Not really. I mean, I was kind of back and forth. I mean, I grew up, my family was were Democratic, they were Democrats, and that's just what it was. It's just sort of like indoctrination. It's like, you're a Democrat, that's just how it is. And you're like, okay. As I got older and I registered to vote, I was actually declined to state most of the time. I mean, in California, we have open primaries, so I wanted that flexibility, and I didn't really want to be associated with any party. So most of my life, I've been declined to state unless I was in a state that was closed primary system, then I would register as a D. And I was very politically active. I have my BA in politics from UC Santa Cruz, and I was quite the activist at that time. It was very anti-war focused at that time. It was the Iraq War was going on, and there was like a huge recruitment push, and so they were aggressively recruiting on college campuses, and we kicked the recruiters off campus. Literally, we like went in and like kicked them out. We're like, get off our school campus, like don't be recruiting here. So that was pretty badass. And yeah, I got my degree in that. I was going to go to law school, did not do that. Went instead and became a teacher and taught English, and completely shifted. So yeah, I started pretty politically active. I come from a political family. My aunt was a state senator in California, and I worked for her and some other Democrats when I was like 18, 19, and also like summers in high school. So pretty active politically on and off. Got reactivated by Andrew Yang's campaign. I thought it was exciting, and I got into the Yang gang, and it was just like I haven't felt that excitement in a minute that like, like this underdog candidate, like maybe this is possible. I mean, it's obviously not, but it still felt good at the time. And that sort of like spurred my run for office. I wanted to kind of continue that energy.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you, but I think that's kind of, I think how we found each other probably on Twitter was through Yang Gang people. Cause I think that's how maybe we got connected. I'm not sure though.
Maybe, I want to say Justin O'Donnell. Okay. Because what happened there was, it was pretty funny because, they were like, I don't know, they were having this conversation with Marianne Williamson and like online, and it was like getting kind of heated. And so I like defended her. She actually endorsed my campaign, and yeah, I like Marianne Williamson. Like I liked her outside of politics, like just her spirituality and like, just been connected with her. Anyway, so I like defended her. And then they started coming after me, and it was like pretty aggressive first. We were just like going back and forth. And then like, finally I was just like, this is actually really funny. And these guys are pretty funny. I think it was like Reed and Justin. And then, yeah, then they were like, Justin was like, come on my show then. And like, tell me why you're a left, what do you call, left coast libertarian, which was fun. And like, everybody thought I was a communist or like just like a neo-lib. I don't know. They were like calling me different things. I think mostly a communist. So that was fun. And then I sort of connected with adjacent people like yourself and other folks in that libertarian Twitter sphere.
I know, and I'm alt-right, so I can't believe you like it. I'm just kidding. I love it. I love all the boxes, people, and that's what's been so funny about the identity politics for the last 10 years. It's like that's the first thing. Like people just first look at that. I've been trained to first look at like what box they can put you in, because then that means you believe this, 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 and this, and then they can judge you off of it, and you're like, no.
I know, I hate it. I really hate it because I'm just an individual. I mean, I think most people want to be, but we also are very tribal. We just have this like, internal thing in our genetic code that's like, I need to fit into the group. I mean, for good reasons. Back in the day, if you didn't fit into the group, they would just kill you. It would just be like you wouldn't have like anybody to help you. You wouldn't have any food or shelter like at some point. So we still have that ingrained in us, I think, and it's like it's not really useful anymore. I mean, it's just we have just a different setup to our lives. I mean, in some respects, it's useful. Like you do need to have a community and neighbors and family and connections like that, but it's not really useful as far as just becoming like very cliquey and just putting everybody in boxes and assuming so much about people. I don't like that. So I try to just, I don't know, sometimes I just fuck with people. I'll admit it. Like I just troll them. I just like will say something like completely like they wouldn't expect to hear from me, just to like see what happens. And because it's like, I mean, I have so many varied opinions and they change so much, I mean, all the time, and they're so nuanced that like it's so funny that people really think a tweet could really like break down somebody's actual thoughts on a subject. It's like, it's not possible, even if it's a tweet thread. No, like you'd need to like really sit down with somebody for a long time to figure out who they really are, what they really think. And even then you're going to change it. I mean, if new information comes my way, or if I, realize something, I have an epiphany, I'm going to change my mind. I don't care. I mean, I'll do it anytime. I'll do it 10 times a day if I want.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's like what you're supposed to do when you're like presented with new information or new ideas, or not that you have to change, but you have to be like, I know I've definitely been like, haven't changed my thing on this, whatever, but like just having another like avenue of how to think of someone else thinks about something. Like that's what I like to know. Just like, oh, they see it like this. Okay. And they don't agree with it, but that's how they see it. And so I have to like work with that, like can't change that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I like it. I mean, I like hearing people's weird opinions and their different life experiences. I mean, I grew up in Orange County, very suburban, that kind of a thing. So hearing from people that grew up rural, in different parts of the country. Yeah. I mean, I was basically grew up being like, those people are like different than us and like not classy or like white trash or like whatever. So growing up and being like, oh no, it's actually very interesting. And like, these people are really just people and cool. And they just have different interests and a different way that they grew up. And I can learn a lot from them because they know things that I literally never had to know because how I grew up. And yeah, I love it. I love it now. I love hearing from other people.
Good. I love that too. Well, that's like my whole thing, even just like on a human level. I'm like, my whole goal in life, I mean, obviously I'm not perfect at it because I'm not perfect, but like my whole, like, I don't know, just how I've always operated in life, and it seems to work well, is I look for something I like in someone before I'm going to look for something I don't like. I'm going to look, I'm just going to like, here's this human I get to connect with and experience. Why am I going to like look for something I don't like in them? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Or the more bees with honey or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you can always, there's always something to learn from anybody. I truly believe that, even if it's just, to not be like that person.
Yeah. They might really actually suck, but
don't do that. Like, just don't do whatever they're doing. Sometimes that's useful. It's like, okay, great. If they're doing something, I'm just going to do the complete opposite because that's probably the right thing to do. So yeah, I mean, either way, it's useful.
That's good to hear. That's why we all get along, I think, because we're just like, whatever, just be cool. So I was going to ask about the EFT and Bitcoin and all that stuff. So did you get into that like just during like the last 2 years, or were you into it before?
I was a little bit into it before. I actually have been aware of Bitcoin for quite some time. I had some friends that were really into it way back in the day, and I really need to find them and connect with them because they're probably freaking billionaires now or something. But I had some friends that were like super into Bitcoin, like way back. And so I knew like the basics. And I was even offered a job where they paid you in Bitcoin. And I really should have taken that. If I would have known what I knew now, I'd be crazy. Even if I just set aside like 20% of it, it would be like, multiple millions. It would be insane. And I got kind of into it when it sort of took off in, I think it was 2016, 2017. It started kind of jumping around that time. And I actually got scammed pretty bad. It was totally my fault, though. I was like being an idiot. And it was like I got roped into like an actual Ponzi scheme because I wasn't like paying attention. And so I just got like rugged like really hard. I got like all my Bitcoin stolen. And so I was just
How did that happen? Was it like a group wallet or something like that, or like you paid it out?
No, it was like an actual like legitimate Ponzi scheme. Like it was my friend, not really my friend, just somebody online was like, yeah, like join this thing. And I was like, okay. And it was essentially you just literally put your money into a pool and then you would get returns back on it. And then it works until it works, and then like any pyramid scheme, eventually it freaking crumbles and you can't withdraw anything anymore. So it was basically like an actual investment scheme where you would just throw your money in and supposedly earn insane interest, and suddenly they would just steal it all. It was just gone.
Those assholes.
Yeah. So those people made a lot of money, and they would redo it too, which was the crazy thing. Like after I got out of it and I was just like seeing it from the outside, they just keep redoing it, and like they would change the name and be like, oh no, now it's this thing, and people are so gullible that they would then turn around after they just got robbed and like put their money again in like another one because they just would keep doing it. And it's probably still going on. I mean, I hope people are slightly more educated by now, but I guarantee you people are still doing it.
It's probably the feds probably are doing it now, I bet.
Honestly, yeah, somebody. I have no idea who, but it's crazy. People fall for anything, including me. I was not paying attention, and I learned my lesson there. So I kind of got out of it. Was just a little bit like, I need to take a step back because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Obviously, I need to educate myself. And then I did get a lot more into it during COVID. I guess just thinking about how this new world is going to be set up. We're all freaking locked up at home, especially in Portland. We were just like, everything was like, I mean, it still is kind of shitty, but everything was super shitty to do. Like, you want to go out, you're just like in a mask and like all this stuff. And I hate that kind of crap. So I was just at home like a lot because I'm like, that gives me like social anxiety. Like, I just can't, I hate like going somewhere and there's tons of rules that I have to follow, like to be in that environment. Like, it just drives me nuts. So I was just basically just looking at these young kids who lost their jobs. I have a lot of followers that are younger from running for office and being involved with the Yang Gang. And a lot of them lost their jobs. Maybe they were working fast food or just some whatever job or Walmart or something. And a lot of people got laid off, and they figured out NFTs, and they figured out crypto, and they figured out Bitcoin or whatever it was that they wanted to do, or all of the above. And they're like, I'm never going back to work, Heidi. Like, I'm not going back to work. Like, I make like over 6 figures, like just whenever I want, like just working on things I enjoy, and just figuring out this market. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, you're just like, you're never gonna go back to work, and you're like 20 some, I'm like, I gotta check this out. Like, what is going on? I don't want to be like that. I'm already geriatric as far as this goes, but I don't want to be that like old person that's literally like, I can't use this computer. like help. Like where's Google Chrome again on here? I was like, well, I got to get into it. I got to educate myself. And just started really just digging in, checking it out. Got involved with the Tezos blockchain because it's really low barrier of entry. It's just cheaper. But you can still do the exact same things. You still learn how to use a wallet. You still learn how to, make transactions. You still learn how to sign your transactions. You learn how to like send and receive crypto and all the same things. So I sort of started there and been expanding since then, and really just trying to figure it out because I want to be autonomous as I can. And I just think the government is just about to like rug us all, and just really like the dollar is going to be just trash. I mean, it's already basically trash, but it's going to be even worse if you don't have, your money and your savings, I think, in, like real estate, crypto, like some kind of investments that are solid. Pretty soon, like, you're going to be in big trouble because, I mean, the dollar, the second they stop using the dollar as the standard for oil, it's just like pretty much over. I mean, and we're going to have to find another way. So I've just been really focused on that, like just figuring out a way to live without the government and without corporations and without any of this crap. So that's part of it. Also, like learning to garden and be self-sufficient in that way too, and trying to figure out how to grow my own food and step by step.
There's definitely like one silver lining about everything. I think people from all ends of the spectrum kind of got like, oh, I need to be more self-sufficient, which is always a good thing to like. And even if they're late to the game, which a lot of us are, like whatever, at least it like kind of like woke people up a little bit. That
you can't rely on anybody or anything. And I mean, I even ran my campaign in 2020 on UBI. So it's like, I even was like a universal basic income supporter, which I have different thoughts on it now. I've kind of changed. Even I was like, like we need to be more self-sufficient because the government's not coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. Like, your parents aren't coming to save you. Like, most people's parents have zero saved for retirement, including mine. And it's just like, there's nobody but you left. So it's
been a rough 20 years on the economy and stuff too. So it's like, even if people were in a good place at 06 or whatever, like they had to start all over, like a lot of people, and it's just been like not the best to like get a foothold in. So it's crazy.
It's been terrible. I mean, Yeah, my dad and like my immediate family lost everything in 2007. They had pretty much all their investments in real estate, just like leveraged real estate that just went to nothing. And then they couldn't afford their house anymore because they just got into one of those loans that would balloon out or whatever the hell they did. And yeah, just had to leave. And since then it hasn't been the same. Haven't been able to buy another house. Just been, yeah, it's been tough ever since then. And that's when I graduated from college. I mean, I graduated 2006. So came out the
We're
very
about
end
the
of
same age.
2006.
We're probably about the same age.
Yeah, I am going to be 39.
Okay, I'm going to be 38. We're the same age.
Yeah, same thing.
Pretty much.
So, I mean, yeah, when you pretty much start your career during like a recession, when you're used to it booming, I mean, the 80s and the 90s were pretty much booming. I mean,
they made us so unrealistic, and I'm still like,
I know. I'm like,
and it wasn't even like we were doing anything crazy in the 90s because it was like we didn't have phones, we didn't have like tons of technology and stuff, but it's like it was so much better. It was just
we could pay all our bills and like choose where we wanted to live. I remember in high school they had this exercise for economics class where we would like choose our job and where we want to live and like how much money we would make. We think like based on the averages and like what we'd be able to afford. So funny now, it's like hilarious because like none of that is possible. I think my house that I wanted was like a mansion for like $100,000 at the time, and I was like a high paid attorney that made like whatever $250,000 a year or something, of course. And yeah, I was just like that seemed totally that's logical. I just go to college, I get my degree, and then I'm good. I'm just gonna have tons of money and like I'm gonna be able to afford anything I want.
Yeah, they pulled the rug out under us on that one. Talk about going back to money real quick too. Another thing that's coming in that's kind of scary is the whole ESG stuff. Like if your bank will just be like, "Oh, I don't like what you said," whatever, and then they can just take our money too. Like it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, people need to get away from banks and try to be bankless as possible. I mean, unfortunately, we need them for like certain things, but I don't recommend having more than you absolutely need in any bank. It's just like it's not good. They're definitely they definitely are connected to the government. I mean, they are pretty much the government. If you think about it, banks and the government are absolutely hand in hand. I mean, basically our monetary policy is based on the banks charging us interest or not charging us interest or manipulating the interest, and connected to just the Fed is like decides based on what we need to make sure that our economy doesn't crash. So it's just crazy. Like banks, like one time I thought about, I'm like, okay, so like banks don't even have money, like really when they get started. Like you could be like, you get like a bank charter, like you like get actually a bank charter where you can be a bank and then you can just like start issuing debt and there's no real fucking money, like you don't have the money until people start paying like their interest to you. So you're like, yeah, I'll just issue these shitty credit cards for like, 30% interest. And then people will rack them up and then start sending me their money, like real money. And now I have everybody's money. But I didn't have anything to begin with. All I had was FDIC. Like, the government was going to back me because I had my bank charter. And so, they're just, money isn't real, it's not real. They're just making up numbers and putting them on a spreadsheet.
I remember thinking that even before COVID, I was like, you know what? They literally control the money. Obviously, I knew about the Federal Reserve and stuff. So I'm like, okay, they control the money. They can control all the supply lines, which we've seen that like it was kind of like my worst fears coming true. I was like, I always thought, well, they can just control everything and shut us off from everything at any moment that they want because they fucking can. Like they just can. Yeah, it's just wild to think about it. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to do it. 2020 came and they're like, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, fuck you guys. You know what? Like, I know that you just work and slave away for us, but just screw you guys.
It's so wild too, like especially with people with like who really believe in Bernie and stuff, and I'm like, but you understand, like he's just like not doing anything and collecting money, like
he's been in government how long, and like what is his big thing that he's done? Like literally nothing. I mean, it's just crazy. And I feel for people because he's a populist, and I get that. Like, I mean, you want somebody to speak to you, you want somebody to understand your struggles, but I mean, at some point it's lip service. And I mean, you got to just be like, this isn't happening. Like, okay, we're not getting Medicare for all. They're not even trying to do it. I mean, not even close to like actually, like, they're not even voting on it. They don't even, it's not happening. I mean,
was Medicare for all at all? I forget. Was that part of Biden this time around? Did he say that at all?
No,
No?
I think he's a public option guy. He's like,
Okay.
he's just trying to build on Obamacare because
I don't think he knows what he is actually. I don't think he knows what day it is, or like I just shared a video earlier, and he literally is just like looking around, and like I'm like, even you would think even the Secret Service would want to be standing next to him, like guiding him or something, but he's just like, I'm like, what is going on?
No, it's like it's elder abuse, and I mean, he has no clue what's up, and it's just that, and they like it. They like that he has no clue what's up because then everybody else can make all the decisions, and
it's just like someone who like scams an older person, like getting them to sign the deed on their house or whatever. Like, and they did that when he first got in. He was signing all that stuff, which I don't even know what all that stuff was at first. All those executive orders he signed. Remember the whole pile of them. And
he got rid of some sex-based protections, like basically Title IX or something to do with that. Like basically, Trump put some executive orders in to protect sex-based rights, like women's sports and all of that. Like put that in, and that was one of the first things that he signed was like a very pro transgender like series of laws. I think that was like on day one. He got rid of all of that, which was pretty wild. That was like one of the first things to be done. I'm like, is that a top priority? Like, what is going on? Like, it's just crazy. So it's very, very confusing as to what is going on, but I don't trust any of it. I honestly think I don't know. I have a lot of conspiracy theories.
No, I was going to say, I appreciate too also talking on that topic as well. Like, with the trans stuff. Cause it's like even myself, I had a whole bunch of trans friends in like the early, like 2012 and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like, it wasn't like it is like, what is happening? What is going on?
I mean, if you notice, it was right after gay marriage was passed, right after same-sex marriage was passed. They started really pushing this transgender thing, like basically non-binary, transgender, pronouns, all of this stuff. Like, my theory is that, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, but one part of it I think is like, we never really accepted gay people as a country. We didn't really like fully vote on it. It was the Supreme Court. And it was freaking California that banned the same-sex marriage, which led to that decision. So we never really were like fully on board, like as a country ever. It was just like the Supreme Court was like, that's messed up, not constitutional, like, equal protection under the law, boom, like, like you can have same-sex marriage. And then it just was a thing overnight. So there's that part of it with like internalized homophobia where like if you have, a little kid and maybe they're a boy and they're pretty girly and you think you might think they were gay in like a different time. Now you're compelled to be like, well, maybe they're transgender. Maybe that's just what it is. So there's that kind of aspect of it, which I think is sort of underlying. And then there's also like the activism aspect of it, where if you are HRC or like an LGBT organization or nonprofit, you have to consistently be coming up with like new shit, right? You have to have like new struggles and like something new to fight constantly. So after like gay marriage, I mean, they were fighting for that for quite some time. After that, they had to move on to something else. And otherwise, you're not going to exist anymore as an organization. I mean, these nonprofits aren't like, yeah, we did it, guys. We're shutting down the doors. Like, because we just did it. We did what we got to do. Like, now we're gone. Like, they just want to keep getting money. So they have to keep like pushing it to like keep it going. So they create fake outrage. They're really good at PR and like getting things in the press and pushing things. And I mean, there's that aspect of it. And there's also the profit aspect. There's like the medical aspect of this is highly profitable. Like these surgeries are highly profitable. Giving people these hormones and kids and all of this is like, it's a massive moneymaker too. So there's multi-pronged issue for sure.
Creates like a lifelong customer right then, like because you're gonna have to stay on the hormones forever pretty much. And yeah, it's wild. I don't know anybody who's like detransitioned to talk to them much, but I just have like this huge group of friends where they're mostly like most of them were cross dressers. They're all like older. Some of them were starting to actually like transition and get surgeries because it was getting a little more acceptable and stuff. But it's been so interesting listening to them because they're like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. Like, I would have, their experience coming into that as a kid where, yeah, it wasn't as acceptable. It wasn't, they dealt with some bullshit. But like, they're still like, but this is wrong. Like, this is wrong. What's happening? If I was able to do something at 18, who knows what, even though now they're in their 40s and they're still kind of down with it. Like, even they know, like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was always, transsexuals were like super cool, like in the LGBT community. I mean, I've been involved in the community since I was a teenager. So it's like, I've just been to dozens of prides. I lived in San Francisco. I literally lived in the Castro. I mean, I've seen it all, I've seen like pretty much everything. And transsexuals were like totally always welcome with us. And it was more like just because they didn't really have anywhere else to hang out. Like, it was just sort of like, yeah, do we'll hang out with you. Like, that's cool. You're different. We're different. Like, it's all good. Like, it's fine. And there was no real animosity or weirdness or them pushing, it was always like I remember I had this older transsexual friend, and she was always like, oh yeah, she's always very curious about like me and just like, being like a female and female things, like not in a weird way, but just friend stuff. And she'd be like, yeah, you're a real girl. Like, it's so cool. Like, I love being friends with like a real girl. And like, and it was fine. And we were just like, yeah. And and then it just became very odd. It just became like you could just identify it like that, when before it was a whole process of like years of therapy and like, trying to figure out what's going on, and finally arriving at the point of, no, this is like actual gender dysphoria, and this is like, it's very rare, but this is what you have based on everything that we've gone through here, and this is like, if you want, these are the recommendations. It's not like that anymore. I mean, you go in, like if I went in today, I could go in and be like, yeah, I think I'm trans, like, and it's all affirmation. They'd be like, okay, well then you are, like, just like that. And I'm just like, that is just so wild to me. And yeah, I don't even know what to say about it. It's just, it was never about like pushing, lesbians out. And it's become almost all about that. It's become
saying you have to date them or you're a bigot,
Yeah, that started happening. Yeah, I remember being on apps. I was on several different apps, and then I remember when it was like there became like a lot of trans women on these apps, and they were not disclosing that they were trans women, probably like 9 out of 10 times. And mostly you could tell. So it was sort of like, you could figure it out, but it was just weird to me. Like, wouldn't you like want people to know and be like totally okay with that? Like, when, if you're going to go date them, I mean, it's just bizarre. It's weird to me. And then lesbian bars disappeared. That's part of it too, I think. It was just like, it was no longer cool to have like a women only space. It just was like, what does that mean anymore? We don't know what a woman is anymore. So like, what does that mean to have a woman only space? Like, are trans men allowed? And it's like, technically yes, like they would be. And then it's like, are trans women allowed? And it's like, yes. And it's like, all right, well, we just have a bar. Like, honestly, we just have a fucking bar. Like, it's not a lesbian bar anymore. And a lot of them shut down. I remember they were trying to stay alive, in that time period, like 2012-ish, around there. And they shut down the Lexington in San Francisco was very, very famous. It's like, a lesbian bar that couldn't make it through this. So it's sad to me. Like, it's just like, it's depressing because you think like we've come so far. Like, we're like, oh yeah, we're so like progressive in this country, and we're like we're like for gay rights, and we have same-sex marriage and stuff. And it's like, not really. Like, we never really crossed that line, like culturally. I don't think. It was just sort of forced upon us legally, and then here we are. And so now we're just trying to figure it out, and there's still a lot of internalized homophobia is really what I think.
That's like, everyone's all like, I understand the teachers are being crazy right now and stuff, but my background, like where I came from, it was very much the right side was trying to screw with sexuality, as far as you can't be gay, you can't do those things. And it was like, and like, I like try to point out, of course, you can't point shit out on Twitter without people yelling at you, but I'm like, do you understand? Like, obviously there's the whole pendulum thing. And I'm like, okay, but if you want them to stop doing what they're doing, which I don't, do you watch James Lindsay or follow James Lindsay?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's interesting too.
Yeah, I've been trying to learn about the whole, like, if it is the neo-Marxism, so I'm like, it's just interesting to learn about. But so it's like, okay, let's just say they're just like being creepy, but then it's like, but then you can't force your kid, you can't be weird with your kid either if you're traditional and conservative too. Like, but they don't, no one sees it like
they don't
from both
see it
sides
that way. I mean, and then they'll say you're a groomer now. Now it's okay groomer is the big fucking thing. And
yeah, we just gotta stop overusing that term for sure.
And like, if you grew up gay, I'm sorry, like, you're just like, it's very frustrating to you. Like, if you grew up gay or bisexual or like just anything really, like, it's confusing to you because you grew up and you knew that you were being socialized to be straight. Like, you were, like, everything in society was like socializing you that way, for better or for worse. Like, I mean, like, I get it. Like, you have to propagate the species, and like, it's, there's traditions and there's all these things, and a lot of it's very, very subtle. And it's just how it is. But you were very aware of it, that you were different. You're like, at least I was. And I was like, oh, like, okay. So that's the only option. Got it,
Right.
And I remember being like in first grade, and I had a crush on a girl. And it was just like, yeah, I just knew that like it wasn't okay. Like, somebody just made it clear to me that it was like not cool. And I was just like, just forget about that. And I just like basically forgot about it until like puberty-ish, and then I was like, oh, well, I can't deny it anymore. Like, it's just like like it's just a reality of how I am. But the whole time it's like constantly like, have a boyfriend. Kids have boyfriends and girlfriends when they're super young, and nobody has to like groom them to do this. Like, they will just do it, like they will just do it. Like, I had a little boyfriend. I had tons of little boyfriends in elementary school, and it was fine. Like, it was just like, oh yeah, that's my boyfriend. Okay, that's totally fine. But I said, oh, that's my girlfriend. Oh my God, like, what is going on? You're being indoctrinated, or like, who told you about this? And it's like, so it's very odd to me. And it's like, obviously we don't want to be like over sexualizing children. That's obviously wrong. We don't want to be like having weird, like, freaking gender lessons and, educating them on that. But then also in the same respect, like, it's, they're going to know about homosexuality. I mean, the kids aren't stupid. Like, they can literally figure things out and immediately. And they're going to know if their teacher's gay. Like, they're going to know. They're going to figure it out. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to do a lesson on it. Like, definitely not. But like, it's just a thing. Like, it's going to exist, and kids are going to know about it. And to pretend that like, they're not is just like ridiculous. And it's, yeah,
and it's harmful. Shame and that kind of stuff, especially when you like, my whole thing with like sexual stuff, I'm like, the minute someone tries to shame like a kid over sexual stuff, whatever it is, even like a boy masturbating, whatever, like, it adds such, like, it just takes their power away. That's such an important power to us, because that's like one of our, like, if we're individual beings, our sexuality is our part of our individual being, whatever we're into, whatever it is, like, and it's so harmful. Like, it's just harmful.
It's traumatizing. I mean, it really is. Like, I remember, like, I had like a little boyfriend when I was very, very young. And like, I don't know, one time they like caught us doing somewhat inappropriate or something. And it was like this massive deal. But like, to me, it was like not a big deal, like, it was just like not a big deal to me. And like, until they told me it was a big deal, and they like traumatized me on this. And then I couldn't see him anymore, hang out with him anymore. And he was just like my friend. I didn't think anything was wrong. I was, still innocent.
They make it worse when they react like that.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, like, now I'm like, what is it about that was so bad? And then you start like, it's just really, that's what makes you like not innocent anymore, is like, second somebody is like, no, this is bad. And like, and like, obviously there's situations where you need to do that. You need to protect your kids. But, and in other respect, kids are going to be kids and explore their bodies. And like, if you like traumatize them over it, that has lasting effects. Like, they might have, they might hate their bodies for a long time, and they might not know it. They might not have sexual problems. There's all kinds of things that come from your relationship with your body. And yeah, I just think, people need to realize that, kids are little humans that can be traumatized in many different ways. There's just not just one way.
Right.
It's like, you can really make something taboo in someone's mind, and then that can become really horrible. And I think that's actually one problem with America, is we're very, Puritan roots. We have Puritan roots, puritanical, I guess. And everything's taboo. And then we also have like the highest like porn, usage like in the whole world, I believe, or pretty close, if not. And like the most like religious or conservative places tend to have like the highest, porn views, just literally like, and like horrible things like child trafficking and like prostitution and all this stuff. And it's like, maybe we should like not make this such a big freaking deal because everybody's like really obsessed with it now.
Yeah, I can never like explain it or put my hand on it, but I'm like, so many problems in the world would just be taken care of if people would stop being fucking weird about sex. Like, stop being like, I mean, the whole Middle East, everywhere. It's like, just stop being fucking weird about it and like, just be normal. We're not even normal. It's just like, stop being weird.
Don't make it a big freaking deal. Like if you're, it's like on both sides of it. It's like, don't make it a big freaking deal that you're like in somebody's face, like with your sexuality, like that's like, they might not want that, but also don't be in somebody's face about not being sexual at all either. It's just like, both of these sides are really the same, the same sides of the coin. Not really. It's just like, yeah, it's just once you meet them in the middle, there's really very little difference between like, radical conservatives and the radical left. Like it's just presented a different way.
Yeah, it is the horseshoe or whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of shit, I used to go to Bible camp all the time. Shocker. But like, and when I was a teenager, I would actually like go work for the whole summers because I got away from my parents. It was kind of fun. And a bunch of us girls were like making out in the dorm thing one time. Well, it happened a lot, but but somebody told on us one time. So then, oh my God, of course, this whole religious and like a man, like it wasn't even like, I would have thought they would have like at least bring just women in to talk to us, but they like had a men talk, and it was just like, oh my,
like, what can you
all it made me do was, even when I was younger and like had some situations with my mother, all it made me do, like I knew it was shame and it was like bad, but for some reason, I don't know if my personality, whatever, I was like, no, fuck that, you're not taking this away from me because this feels too good, and like I'll just be better about hiding it. And so that's like all I learned. It's like, I'm just gonna hide
you're
it.
Like, just don't tell anybody, we're just like, this is our thing. Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, like Bible stuff was like the worst. Like I used to go to youth group, all that kind of stuff. And like people would do all kinds of stuff. Like that's like where I learned about like drugs and like all kinds of sex stuff. And like people were doing all kinds of stuff like at youth group, like in the middle of the freaking week, like at like, like 7 p.m. Like
you can't help it. We're human.
At a church, like, just like, oh, I gave my first blowjob at freaking youth group last week. And you're like, what in the hell? Like that, like it's just like
that's my experience with Bible camp.
Get out of the house. Yeah,
it was first time I kissed girls, first time I kissed boys, first time I did anything, first time I tried pots, first time I drew a giggle.
I mean, you can't stop people from doing what they want to do, right? And if you make it more taboo, it's almost even worse. Like I went from public school to Christian school, from junior high to high school, because they thought that the public school kids were like a bad influence on me. And I mean, like the Christian kids were worse. They were like way worse, like because they were just like so like aggro about it and like just so needing to let off steam like constantly. And I was just like, you guys are bad. Like, I mean, shoot. Like, I mean, like not that like the kids, were angels where I came from, like everybody, but it was just like everybody's the same. I mean, humans are humans and they're gonna do what they're gonna do essentially.
That's why it's so hard when people get weird. I'm like, okay, you're telling me you don't like sex, but then like and then it's like, okay, well, if you like it, just like everything with the individual liberty and stuff, it's like you want to live your life doing what you do because you like what you do. And I'm like, everyone likes sex, so like, why you gotta harm it? But then there's the whole cycle of abuse and stuff that goes on, and that's, like I said, the whole world's just like, gone crazy. I just watched another documentary the other day, and it was like a dad or a kid was getting abused by two uncles and a cousin. And the dad had been abused by the uncles as well, and like still let him around.
I saw that. Yeah, I totally saw that. They abused like both the little boy and the little girl, and they were just he was just letting them hang out with his kids. Yeah, I was like, what in the F? Like, yeah, I was just like
at some point, like when someone has to end the cycle, like
they were idiots though. I watched that documentary, and both of the parents were like complete morons. Like,
yeah, because even the mom was like, oh, one time they were in the room, but I didn't think anything of it. And it's like,
yeah, they were locked in the room, and he was like, I'm just having special uncle time. And I'm like, no, you're fucking not. Like, I mean, like, what the hell? Like, if you're a parent, like
my mom wouldn't let me ever be in the room alone with even like girlfriends with the door shut or anything, you know? Like,
I know. I'm like, what in the hell? Like, no one's having any special time with my kid. Like, I know what that means. Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, no, like you want to hang out with my kids like in front of me, right in front of me. That's it.
that's another thing too with all these people, especially from the conservative side, saying it's all just the left and the teachers right now. And it's like, no, like it's a family. Like it is a lot family members.
Family
a lot.
Number one.
And people always are like, and I'm like, the minute you like excuse a creepy uncle and are like, well, it's just, you know, because that's what happens is that the families just put it under the rug. They don't say anything. And then it's just, then it'll compound down the road and it keeps going. And it's like, that's where it has to start. Like, yeah, like fuck the group, like the teachers who are being groomers, but like look into your own family and your community. Because if you want this community to be a tight knit community, you need the whole part about having like a tight knit, smaller community is so you can catch that shit when it's happening, you know, and like nip it in the bud. But they're like, no, it's just the teachers. And I'm like, I had 2 girlfriends who like, one of them was in swimming and one of them was gymnastics. Both of them, as soon as they were 18, were like in relationships with their coaches. And I'm like, how do you think that fucking happened? Like, were you not watching what's going on? You know, like, it happens.
Pastors too. I've seen it with like pastors.
Youth pastors. I know.
Yeah, they're like suddenly like marrying this like 18-year-old in the church, and you're like, whatever, man. Like,
yeah, that was quick relationship.
Yeah, like sure.
It's been 18 for like 6 months. And
yeah.
That's what's hard, but people don't want to talk about it, and then everyone wants to put the tribal spin on it, and it's like
blame it on the other group, blame it on the other team, and it's like that's not how it goes down. That's not like actually what happens.
This issue is maybe that's why it's not been ever fixed, or at least
I think they used to fix it. I think you literally just used to kill people, and we just like don't do that anymore in civilized society. But like I think literally if you like, you know, saw somebody diddling your kid or something, you would just like smash them over the head with a rock or like, you know, whatever. Like if it's just, and now we're like, whatever, we go through the legal system and it's this whole thing, and you know, and then it's just it's crazy.
And it comes up so much later sometimes too, and then it's like people have muddy watered about it, and it's just like hard to figure out exactly what happened. And I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what the solution is. That's for sure. It's very complex, but I do know that like everything starts like around your immediate. You know, everything. Like the only thing you can control is like yourself and like the immediate people around you. You can't control them, but you can like at least be aware and take care of them and like know what's going on. I mean, and if everybody just did that, there would be no issues. Like honestly, like if everybody was just personally responsible for their clan, I mean, there'd be issues, but they would get solved like immediately. So it's just, you know, we don't do that anymore. They want us like so separated. Like everybody's so separate. Like live in your little box here and, you know, have somebody deliver your food and like do chores for you. And like you just sit here in front of a computer. And I mean, they don't want us like actually connected. It's just like they want us to be in our own little bubbles so that they have to solve problems for us, like either the government or corporations. I mean, somebody needs somebody to solve a problem.
Yeah, they're like, no, you need the government to fix all your problems and stuff. It's like, no. I'm more about the vigilante, especially with that topic. I'm like, maybe we should bring vigilante, but then obviously there'll be problems still. But Christ, man, like it's just we can't even talk about it either. That's the hard part. It's like people can't even talk about it.
It sucks. I mean, like it's obviously an issue and it's obviously real and it's obviously like something that needs to be dealt with, but it's dealt with in like such a odd way. Like a lot of it's like really immature way, just like putting, you know, like everything in one box, and some of it's just like what the hell? Like what are we doing with the laws where somebody can be like a rapist and then they get out in like 2 months, you know, or like what is the deal with that? And there's just, I don't know, we deal with it incredibly just so wrong. And it's obviously leading to poor consequences. I don't think anything's getting any better as far as that goes. It seems to be just escalating.
Yeah, especially because I believe like people who have all the power and control, because I'm a little bit of a degenerate myself, right? But I'm in control of it. And like I've been around people that I see go a little too far in the moment. And I've been like that person. So I can only imagine these people who have all the power and money in the world, like that doesn't even shock me to think that they're probably, who the hell knows what they're doing, did on Epstein Island and all that stuff. Like, it's just.
I mean, guaranteed. I mean, just guaranteed, because you feel like you're unstoppable, right? You feel like whatever you do is just like, it doesn't matter. You're just like, you can, I don't know.
And you've done everything. You need more things to satisfy.
Yeah, you keep like getting more and more and more. Yeah. I mean, you get more and more extreme, and then it's just like, yeah, it's bizarre, but people are, it shouldn't even have to be a big deal. Like, it's so weird. You know, it's weird that like sex is even that big of a deal that you need to like freaking make an island for it. Like, it's just like so bizarre that people are like that obsessed. I mean, like, I get it. I mean, like, sex is great, but like you said, it should just be like blasé. Like, sex is great. Yeah, we all agree. Like, it's just like, do it with somebody that consents with you. That's an adult. It's like, that's like, I don't know, like, and do it in private. Like, nobody really wants to see it. And like,
right.
should just really be it. There's only like a few rules to like follow. It's like, it just shouldn't be that complex.
We'll solve it one day, Heidi, somehow.
Oh God, I don't
just
know.
kidding. That sounds like a lot of responsibility.
I know. Nah, I'll just like stay to myself. It's probably
like I didn't even want to have kids because I didn't want to screw them up. Like,
do you have kids?
No, I don't have any kids. I'm just a mom. I'm a mommy for adults. That's where the thing comes from. Because people need it. Like people like. I have people who like it's not like I won't say therapy, but like people just need that energy of like loving the Blessed Mother. Like I accept you.
But
we could do this differently. Like
everyone's
dealt with the devouring mother in the like life, so I try to like undo that, I guess. But
I love that. That's great.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to talk about? Coming up on 50 minutes. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah. I don't know.
You can talk about Gus. You can tell us about Gus.
Yes, he's right here. Actually, I should wake him up.
Yeah, let's see him.
I should just like wait because it'll ask up.
He's
hey, he's getting so big. Look at this.
Oh, thing. He is so big. How old is he now?
Thing. 6 months.
No,
he's massive. He's like a big, huge baby. Like, what is this? Like, he just suddenly was like,
oh, look at you being sweet.
He's real sweet. No, he's a doll. He's like seriously like a cuddle bug, and he just still wants me to hold him like he's like 3 pounds. And, he's just like still a little love. It doesn't realize how big he's got, and he's like he weighs more. I think he like weighs like the same as like my full-grown cats already. So yeah, he's gonna be a big daddy. Big boy. But he's great. Him, Tulsi, named after Tulsi Gabbard, of course, and I have Little Man. Just couldn't think of a name for him. He's just like a little dude. And they're crazy. Okay, so I just moved into this house where they're indoor outdoor now. They used to be just indoor. And my girl, she's like kind of feral. Like we adopted her, and she was kind of living outside. Before we got her at the shelter. And so I've been letting her just come and go. There's a little kitty door. So, first they brought in like a bird, like came out, there's a dead bird. And I'm like, okay, it was like a small little bird. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then they brought in like a mouse, like a little dead mouse was in my living room. And then I like come out of the shower, like both me and my wife are coming out of the shower, like buck naked, like walking out. And there's a fucking pigeon, like a live pigeon in my living room, and they're all going at the pigeon. There's like feathers everywhere and blood and like a scene. And I was like, oh my freaking Lord. And like, so we just like push the pigeon outside. I'm like, I don't know what to do. We just like kick it outside. Maybe it can still live. Maybe it'll go. We just like kicked it outside, and then just like locked the cats in a room, and we're just like cleaning up feathers. And oh my God, it was a mess. So anyway, so I'm trying many ways to prevent that now.
Because it's sweet, because they're like bringing it to you. They're like, here, have this food. But
yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know like what the psychology is. I don't think we know for sure. Some people think it's like a gift, and some people think it's that they think that we're like lame at hunting, so they're trying to help us out. They're like trying to be like, here, like you never like hunting anything, like what's up, like And something is just like what they do is this is what I believe, because what they do is when they have prey, they bite it on the back of the neck, which stuns them and essentially will stun the prey, but they're like still alive. And then they take the prey to somewhere safe or like enclosed or where they can like finish it off. So basically, she got the pigeon like from outside and was like, I'm gonna finish this thing off like in my house where it can't get away and just like go at it. But oh my God, I was like,
it's so good. Like I wish I could do indoor outdoor again with the cat I have now, but it's like I know people hate it. They're like, oh, they're killing all the birds. But I'm like, do you know how healthy and happy they are to be able to hunt and like
they're so happy. Like my girl is like night and day. She used to like bully the boy. She used to be like insane. Like I had to like play with her constantly and like constantly be, she was just nuts. She was like total like just basket case. And now she's like the best cat ever because she gets to go outside and be crazy. Yeah.
And birds of prey, like owls, hawks, they eat cats too. So it's kind of like circle of life. Like I don't think we're going to lose any small bird like population to a point that's terrible because That's how the cat. There was an indoor outdoor cat. Wasn't even mine, but he retired to our house basically, and he got like because I couldn't keep him inside. He was old. That was his life, and Hawk got him one day and was like sad. But then I'm like, I watched this cat like eat baby bunnies. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
and it's also like, they say, okay, like outdoor cats live, shorter lives or whatever. But I mean, it's also like quality versus quantity.
yes.
It's also like, I'd rather like the cat live like a dope ass like time until like something happened and they were happy and like, and I take great care of them. I mean, I make sure they're dewormed and like they have their food treatments and stuff and they're healthy. They have all their shots and I watch out for them and I feed them freaking raw food because they're my babies. So they're freaking beautiful and soft and shiny and like they're just spoiled. They're just like spoiled little demons. But I mean, that's how it is. Like I call my girl my murderer. I'm like, she's my murderer. She's not a little psychopath.
Because they are like little death machines, man.
Yeah, little predators. They're just little crazy things. But yeah,
if they had thumbs, can you imagine if they had thumbs? They would have fucking took over the world.
Oh God, I don't know. I like animals that have like this. Like really creep me out. Like a little rat doing this, raccoons doing this. Like I just really hate this like whole thing with like,
it is creepy.
I
just always see the cats are always like, they'll pick stuff. I'm like, oh
yeah, they're like this. Isn't that cute though? Like,
it's so cute.
It's cute.
They're just like
for whatever reason, like something else that has thumbs is like freaking scary to me. But like this is adorable. It's just something else. Like, but if it can grab something, I'm like, oh God, no! Like it can grab things. That's terrifying. Yeah.
Oh, love it.
Well,
all right. Yeah. Thanks for coming
awesome.
on. We'll do this again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's do it anytime. So thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Awesome. You too. And I love you.
Love you too.
All right. Bye, everyone watching. Thank you.
Bye.